Hi, Dr. Jonathan Hoover here. I just was going to talk to you for a minute about political burnout. I had somebody ask me the other day. I was walking around the church and they said, "Hey, Jonathan, I know you study burnout. Is there such a thing as political burnout?" And I thought about it for a minute and I thought, sure, there is, because burnout happens in any arena where we have too much stress for too long to the point where we have a stress related internal collapse. And I think that can happen with political stress, just like it could with any other stress. And I think there's a few reasons for that. I think one is just the amount of exposure that we have to political news. I think we need to be aware of what's going on in the political scene, no doubt. I think it's important to vote our convictions, and I think it's important to recognize when something isn't right. I think that's part of exercising godly judgment. But on the other hand, I think some of us fall into the trap of paying attention to political news all day long as stuff is coming out. Or whenever we have free time, we're scrolling on our phone and looking at political news. And it's not helping, right? Because it causes that anxiety, causes that stress inside. And the longer we are becoming obsessed with what's going on in the political world, and the more that begins to weigh on us, I think the more the chances there of reaching a state of burnout that came from just being overexposed to political news. And so I'm not suggesting that any of us should not be aware of what's going on in political current events. What I am suggesting is you can overdo it. The other thing is, I think anytime you're focused on something that may happen, that's stressful. So instead of focusing on what is happening or has happened, focusing on what may happen, or even in the age of conspiracy theories that we live in today, what may be happening, but we don't know, I think that's very stressful. And the more we focus on what may happen in the future or what may be happening behind the scenes, the more that becomes stressful and could be a cause of burnout. And then I think finally, just not putting ourselves to work on the things that we can change and focusing completely on things that we cannot change, right? Remember the serenity prayer that's a fixture in AA circles, that we need the ability to recognize the difference between things that we can change and things that we cannot. We need strength to change what we can, and the peace and the serenity of our spirit to face the things that we cannot. If I was to give you 3 ideas for how to avoid political burnout, it would be, number 1, make some decisions about the amount of exposure you're going to have to political news. I'm not saying avoid it. I'm not saying ignore it. I'm saying limit it. Figure out how much time each day you feel like you should be paying attention to what's going on in the political scene. I think that could be very healthy. Number 2, I think be very cautious about obsessing over what may happen or what may be happening. Try to focus on what has happened or what is happening. And then number 3, talk to God about what it means to take action on the things that you can change in a healthy way, and to find the peace to cope with the things that you can't change. In the meantime, we look to the Lord and we say, God, what is it that you want me to understand in this season? And especially in a political season like the one that we're in right now, I think God has a lot of teaching to do. Each of us has a lot of learning to do in this process. But yes, I do think there is such a thing as political burnout. And I think it does impact people. I think it impacts families, marriages, communities. So be cautious with the stress of this political season. Be wise about how you engage with it. Do be involved, but don't be taken over by it. I hope this has been helpful for you. We'll see you next time.